Hello and welcome to Tonalist Painting with M. Francis McCarthy. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and today we are going to be talking about this little study called River Sunset, and this is a 5x7, and it's a study I did to complete a larger painting, which we'll be talking about next week, which of course will have the same title. I've painted this motif many times. It's the kind of composition I really like, and I have one of the paintings I've done hanging up in my bedroom, and it's pretty successful. I've had a lot of good successes with this, and a few that weren't. So you can't always blame it on the reference, you know. What was different about this particular take is I decided to composite a super colorful sunset sort of sky, whereas in the past I'd done more moody and subdued sort of approach, and to that degree I'm pretty happy with the color in the sky and the way it turned out. I'm really quite happy with this study. We'll be talking about the larger one next week, which I think is a successful painting, and it was one that was painted over the top of an older, less successful painting. Like I said, we'll just get into that next week. There's no sense in getting to it now. I did a little different today, where I did the blog post before the video, and in the blog post we talk about this intermediate zone where the trees overlap the sky. So I recommend you take a look at that if you're into landscape painting or learning about it. That's for the most challenging areas, and I'm always really concentrating when I do that particular part of any painting. It can really make or break a painting. And you can get a bit too carried away with the sort of strategy that I outlined in the blog post, which I didn't mention in the blog post, but hopefully you're looking at both the blog posts and the videos, and not just going the lazy route and watching the videos. You know, I do recommend visiting the blog, mostly because that's more concentrated teaching. Here, when I say on my blog that the video features my usual rambling narration, that's exactly what it means, because in the early days I tried just putting these up with music alone. The problem is I do make a lot of music, but not many pieces that are 10 minutes long. So that was sort of not working, and then silence just seemed kind of eerie. And so I thought, well, I'll just talk for 10 minutes, and that's one of the reasons I keep them at 10 minutes, because I can pretty well come up with 10 minutes of conversation off the top of my head. Not a problem, especially when it's on the topic of landscape painting, which I'm so passionate about, and really driven to get better at all the time. You may have noticed, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be showing up on every video that I do, but I have turned on the ads for videos on YouTube, and sorry if that's a bit of a hassle. Really, you have to wait 4 seconds and just click through, and I haven't double checked to make sure they're not interrupting the middle of the movies. If they are, I'll make sure and turn that off. I haven't actually sat down and watched an entire movie that had an ad yet, so of mine. Let's hope they're not doing it. But come on, 4 seconds in the beginning, you can wait 4 seconds, and then, or you can you wait 4 seconds, you click skip this, and you're into the video, and all it costs you was 4 seconds, and that's not too bad. I don't think it's too bad, and you never know. I saw some interesting ads, and one was for, I don't know, marijuana TV show by Vice or something like that. Yeah, it looked interesting. I don't have that particular channel, but whatever. So here it is, Sunday, and this is Sunday I think it's the 11th today. Let's have a look. Yes, Sunday the 11th of 2016, and we are rapidly running out of 2016. And we've had a good year with the blog this year, although I shouldn't be doing my wrap-up yet because I've got another 2 or 3 weeks to go before our last videos and blogs of the year. But how fast it goes, right? And it's so much fun when you're working and you're doing things that you enjoy, like I enjoy landscape painting. So you're wondering, how's it been going in the studio, man? Well, I've been doing some sketches, or not sketches, they're the underpaintings for a series I'm calling 25 More Days of Tonalism, because most of you are probably aware that we're doing a series. We're currently just started a series called 25 Days of Tonalism, which is the 100 Days of Tonalism, which really pretty much started this video channel and this particular blog of mine off. I guess I should mention here that I get a bit repetitious. I'm aware of it, and what can I say? I'm the kind of person that's really driven to master repetitious things like landscape paintings. I'm always painting trees, and I'm always painting skies, and I'm always painting roads, and I'm always painting rivers, but I never get tired of trying to get better at it, which I think is how you found your true calling and your true work. So I don't see any reason for the blog or these videos to be any different. I have seen several artists take a serious crack at blogging, and as soon as they've gone for years, but at some point they run out of topics and they feel they're just repeating themselves, and I kind of have a vague sort of reckoning that I'm repeating myself, but I'm not too worried about it. Like I said, if you were a student of mine, I'd be repeating myself constantly, because so many times we don't hear things the first time around, and not only that, but my insight and abilities are always improving. So you never know, there might be a new wrinkle there. And at some point down the road, in fact it was probably a year ago, that I'd decided I was going to do a book, and I pretty much bailed on that because I felt I really needed to spend that time concentrating on my painting and my painting career. And I do put some efforts into education with this video cast and the blog posts that go with them, and it's all good. It's all good. At some point, though, I have this idea that I'd like to, go through and collate all these blog posts and put this information into some sort of cohesive form. And I do have a title in mind for that book, which I'll reveal at some point when it looks like I'm actually going to do the book. But it would be really awesome to have that kind of thing out there and done, and I hope I get a chance to do it before exit this mortal coil, so to speak. Read an interesting article today on old Monet. Monet is by no way, shape, or form a tonalist, but however, very interesting reading about his water lily period, and he's quite old, and he'd already given up painting when he got seriously into doing the water lilies. And one of the things about Monet that people don't realize is because his paintings look so fresh and spontaneous, they assume they were all done alla prima, but some of them have up to 60 layers of color. And I knew that he wasn't working alla prima, but I wasn't aware that he was going through 60 various layers of color. And one of the reasons for this is because he was very, very fixated on capturing the light, and this is one of the modus operandi of the Impressionists. They see the light effect in nature, and they want to capture it. And as was mentioned in this article, you got a window of about 7 minutes before the light's changing yet again, and which is, I think, pretty close to the truth. And Monet ought to know. He's an Impressionist, and that's their gig, man. Going outdoors and getting that. And I really respect that as a way of working, and it's not for me. But the main reason it's not for me is because of, first of all, my personality type tends to enjoy control over their environment. I'll tell you that straight up. And when you're painting outdoors, you have very little of that. Also, like I mentioned, I think in a recent blog post or video, like the sort of painting we're doing now, that sky, this way this looks, this would have passed in about 7 minutes and would have looked completely different the next day, So not good for what I'm after. But I really admire Monet, and I really appreciate his work, and I really appreciate him working industriously to get effects that look fresh, and that's so important, not to beat the life out of your painting. And in fact, I know I've talked about that before, but I'm going to make a note on my notes that I do for my blog posts to talk about that, because that's really a thing, and especially difficult if you're going after like 60 passes on a painting. I mean, you could choke every little bit of life out of that if you weren't careful. Maybe he was helped by the fact he'd had cataracts in his old age. He couldn't see the detail anyway, so he didn't worry about it. Anyway, I can see we're getting close to the end here. Thanks for joining us today, and you can check out more of my stuff at landscapepainter.co.nz. There's an email there if you ever want to shoot me a line. That's great. I like talking to people. It's awesome. We'll be back next week with the larger version of this particular motif, and we look forward to seeing you then. Meanwhile, take good care and stay out of trouble.